Welcome YouTube friends, this is Tychandra doing another action figure review, but this time we're going back in time for something a little bit older than regular figures. So this is a review, if I just get Mr. Mando out of the way. This is a review for one of the vintage, the real Ghostbusters by Kenner. Make sure he doesn't fall over or fall off the table. This is one of the haunted vehicles, the Wicked Wheelie. Changed motorcycle and rider into a Wicked Wheelie. Contents: one vehicle and one figure, Peter Venkman figure not included. So this is the box it came in. I recently picked up a bunch of vintage Ghostbusters stuff, and this is one of the things that is in it. It even has the original insert. Now unfortunately some of the side of the box isn't in the best condition, but there is something interesting which I will take out in a second and showcase it. But this is the original insert and box for the Wicked Wheelie. Let's see if I can get the box just to close down a bit. What's interesting to note as well is that there is the original price tags on this. So it was originally, from what you can see, this is on this side, it was £7.95. So this is going back to when Ireland was still using punts or pound, or we used to have the pound as well, or the Irish word for it is the punt. And then it was reduced down to £2.95, and the shop that was in that had this was Quinsworth. That shop is no longer around as far as I'm aware. I think it rebranded and became what's known as Tesco. If I remember correctly, the Quinsworths became Tesco's, or a lot of them became Tesco's. And you have the box itself. Now I'm trying to see if there's a date stamp on this thing. On the box it says 1984 and 1986, so I think this was released in 86. So you have the image up the top of what it does, and you have the same image on the bottom of the box, and then on the side you just have the same image that's on both sides of the box. It's just flipped and says haunted vehicles, Wicked Wheelie, change motorcycle and rider into Wicked Wheelie. Now I never had the original Ghostbuster stuff as a kid, so I'm not sure how it works out. There was I never had, well, I did have Ghostbuster stuff, because I'm going to have a quick look at this guy off to the edge here, and I have another one of the haunted vehicles, but I don't have the box for it, so we'll have a look at that as well. But I was never aware that this is how you get this really cool pamphlet inside it, with this really cool artwork, with the Ghostbusters looking more like their movie counterparts, as opposed to the, I'm not sure if you can see that with the glare. I'm going to see if we can move that off. You might be able to see it. But you can see Egon, Ray, Peter, and Winston look, they're all in the tan uniforms. They don't have the individual uniforms that they did as the figures. You can see it's showcasing the Fright feature figures. So you have Fright features Peter, Egon, Ray, and Winston, and even Janine. I believe that was the first version of the Janine figures. There was a few of them in the line. You also have the Ghost headquarters, fire station headquarters playset, the Ghost Popper, Proton Pack, the, what was that called? The Ghost Zapper, which had like I think you could put a disc and have a different version of each ghost in it. Ecto 1, the Goop Ghosts, I think they're called. Mini Gooper Ghosts. You have the Shooter Ghost. You have the Ectoplasm. You have X-Cop, Tombstone Tackle, the Hard Hat Horror, the Male Fraud, Granny Gross, and this guy who is off to the side here, which is Terror Trash. So now the interesting thing is of interest about this sheet. So when you flip it around to the back, it actually gives you all the instructions, the consumer care, all the legalese stuff. It is the instructions on how to assemble and play with the vehicle and the set within. This is also the same with the Ecto 1, because in the big lot of stuff I got Ecto 2, Ecto 1, and Ecto 3, which I will be doing separate reviews for. Now, the Ecto 1 I won't do a review for, because I believe I already did a review for the reissue one, which is exactly the same as the original. But I may try and showcase the two together. The Ecto 1 that I got in the lot is very yellowed because of its age, whereas the new one is in a better state. So bear with me a moment. I'm just going to clean things up, bring in the ghosts and stuff that I'm going to review, and we'll crack on with the review. So for this little mini review, or well, maybe mini, depending on how much time I spend, we are going to have a look at the Wicked Wheelie, which is this guy here. Air Sickness, which is the other haunted vehicle that I have, which is a really cool one. And we'll have a quick look at the Terror Trash, because I actually really like how they did this guy. He doesn't have an auto transform feature like some of the other fright ghosts, at least from what I can see he doesn't, unless it's just not working. But we'll have a look at the actual star of the show, which is this. Now, the only thing that's broken on this, I'll bring it up here, you can see there's two red dots on the bottom of this guy's feet. The reason is there was two peg holes on this that would allow you to sit the driver onto the bike and keep him there. They're not hugely important. Well, they are, I suppose, but they don't deter him from actually sitting on the bike if you have them set up right. It is a little side heavy depending on how you get it, so I suppose it was probably there to help with the balancing, but it is pretty cool. So you have this little dude on his little motorbike. It is very funny to me, at least to me anyway, because on the back of this guy you have this kind of, it has Eek written on his biker jacket, and he has this kind of skull and cracked skull motif going on, so he looks like he's supposed to be like a hardcore biker. And then the funny thing is, the bike he's driving looks more like a little moped, so it is very funny that he's like chugging along on his little moped while being a hardcore biker. I suppose it was the only way to could get him to the transformation for the bike to work as well. So there is that. He does have a pretty goofy looking face, if you can see it, and he's predominantly just black and yellow plastic with the paint app for the face, and then grey boots. You can see the age, wear and tear on his little grey boots, but he's kind of wearing this yellow jumpsuit. In his gloves, he has gloved hands. It is interesting to note that he has 3 fingers on his hand instead of 4 fingers on a thumb, so that should be a dead giveaway that he's not a human driver. And then for his transformation gimmick, you can open up his face and you have this one-eyed screaming ghost face. Now the way they show it is they do it like this, but I think he looks cooler if he can stand up and kind of use this thing and have his hands up like he's making a ghoulish scream. Let me see if I can readjust my lighting a bit so you can see into his face, because it is kind of a cool look to his face. So you can see he has really kind of, he has a greenish tongue, pinkish skin, green teeth, and a green eyeball. It almost looks like he either has a brain or an eye brain, because the eyeball looks like it's detailed like brain matter, and it has kind of a brain matter pink. And then for this piece, it's like a little wheel with an engine in it. So I think the idea is he like drives along, pretends to drive along that way. But I kind of like it, kind of looking down. If you think too much about it, where it's positioned on him, it just, it would detract from it. But, it is what it is. It is a transformation gimmick of sorts. But the bike itself is pretty cool as well. So as I said, the bike kind of looks like a little moped. It doesn't really look like a super bike or a chopper or anything it's supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be more like a chopper. but because of the way it's designed to transform, they couldn't really get that. So to transform it, you flip this entire piece around, and you can even see the ghost face there. You pull out the wheel on the back, you flip open these at the side. There's a little piece that you can flip out, and same on the opposite side, it flips out. It doesn't matter if this flips back, it doesn't kind of hold in place. You take the handlebars, you flip them back to be sort of like antenna, and then you have this really weird, again, it matches up with the driver with the green eyes, green teeth, and kind of pinky tongue. It has some matching. You have this like big, I think they're supposed to be feet or monowheel feet type thing, but he does stand in his haunted glory. I'll put him into his weird haunted glory of the, what was it called again? The Wicked Wheelie. So you have that. It is interesting to note that on the box art, the tongue is more on this guy, is more colored in. It's like fully green, whereas it's kind of green at the center of it as opposed to the sides. But it is what it is. So moving Wicked Wheelie off to the back, we'll have a look at the trash, Terror Trash, which again is a very cool figure. He's fairly limited in what he can do, but he has some really interesting detailing. So he is a trash or can man, as it says on the back of his high-vis. He's kind of wearing a overalls with a high-vis. Well, it's orange, but it's supposed to be a high-vis shirt. He has a peak cap on. He has a kind of a goofy look on his face, but that is all part of the subterfuge for his transformation. So what is cool about the trash can he has, now it is part of his sculpt, but I'm not sure if you can see it here. But if you look on the inside of the green area, I'm not sure if we can pick it up on camera, but there's actually fish, rotting fish inside there. So there's like fish bones, and then there's a couple of full fish, and then I think there's supposed to be something else. Is it flies or something like that? And the transformation for this guy, he doesn't really have any articulation, so to speak, because most of his articulation is for the transformation. You can slightly move his head side to side, but I don't think it's really intended to do that. So what you do is you take the trash can, you flip it over his head, which produces out this big bug-like head. You take the piece out of his chest, which has these big kind of pincher maw type thing, and then you open up these pieces on the side. As I said, there doesn't appear to be any button that you press for these to spring out or anything like that, so I believe you do have to do them manually, and he transforms into this kind of fly style ghost, which is kind of cool, which is fitting for his, for the trash can, because flies tend to land on trash cans and stuff like that, or you see flies around garbage a lot. So he's kind of a fly ghost, which is pretty cool. Again, his legs do not have any articulation because of the way he transforms, but it is quite a cool look to it. I know Mondo have recently announced that they're doing a 1/12 scale Ghostbusters line, which is pretty cool. I would love to see, I'm not sure if they could pull it off. I would love to see Super 7 do a kind of Ultimates line, but based on the real Ghostbuster toy line, kind of like what they did with the Turtle line and the Thundercats. It'd be interesting to see how they tackle the ghosts, even though they wouldn't have the same they'd have more articulation than their Kenner counterparts. So that brings us along to this guy, and this guy is called Air Sickness. He's actually a fairly cool, unique design. So he is a little dude on a glider, an unassuming glider. He has a really weird smile on his face, but it is hiding a dark secret. So if we take him off his little thing first, we'll get him standing. He looks like your average guy with a parachute on his back. You pop off the top of the glider, and you pop off the engine block of the glider. When you pop those off, you have the seatbelt. Now the seatbelt is the weakest point on this vehicle, You can see there's stress marks already on this. It's the way it came. It's in the box, or in the pictures, it's kind of designed that this looks like a tongue. I think it was kind of supposed to be a tail as well. And you can see there's this big tongue sculpted onto the bottom of the seat area. And what you do is you just flip this down, and this is where this kind of comes into play, where it looks more like, on the packaging, it's kind of shown poking through here like a tongue, which doesn't make sense because it already has a tongue. I believe it would have made sense if it was kind of connected to the back, or you could take it out and plug it into the back as a sort of a tail. But it has this very tooty, maw, goofy face thing going on. It's really nicely detailed. You can see there, the back area where the engine block is looks like bone structure, and there's even a spinal cord kind of sculpted into it. So it is a kind of cool, creepy, goofy looking thing. But that's not all. You have this engine block, which has a spinning propeller, which is pretty cool. And when you rotate the little engine block around, you can see there is a kind of pig-nosed, kind of goofy enough looking ghost as well. A lot of the Ghostbusters ghosts from this era are all kind of goofy looking. There's a few kind of fairly creepy ones, but for the most part, they were all kind of goofy. And then this brings us on to this unassuming wings section. So when you flip it over, you can see there's a face on the inside and bat-like wings. So they click into place, and then the face, I think you can either leave the face hang down if you want to, but it doesn't click into place, or you can do it this way where it kind of has a click into place function, and you can have it like that. And that's not all. We haven't even got to the rider yet. So I'm going to close up the wings and put it back into its kind of glider form. That brings us to this chap. So this chap is, as I said, he's supposed to be the pilot. He has aviation goggles and a hat on. His arms are articulated so they can move forward, and they're designed that they move out to the side like this. And the reason for that is part of his haunting gimmick. So what you do, pull up his head. He has this weird screaming head, and that unlocks his waist and torso, and he turns them into a kind of windmill kind of gimmick. And what you can do with that, because if you notice there is a plug on the back of him, you plug in the little propeller, have him flying around like that on his back. It is a very creepy looking, scary face. I have seen versions of it where this is all red, but I think that was someone had painted it red. And then you can even see on the back of his head, he has this kind of weird sculpture to it to make it kind of look non-human, which is cool. And then if you want to, you can have him, plug in the wings, have him going around with the wings on his back if you want, or you can have the wings up that way, have the back-like wings pop out. It looks a bit goofy, but you can do it. You can have the wings like that and make him look like he's gliding along, or just have it loose and just have it flop around at him when he is rotating his body around, which is a pretty cool gimmick. So we'll pop him back into his glider format. So just be wary that when you pop his head back down, it should only go the one way. Let's just pop it back down again, and it locks his, because when his head is locked in place, his head and body doesn't have any kind of articulations, only when that is up. So I think can you even push it down that way? No, it's only designed to go the one way. So yeah, it locks him into place. We'll pop him in his seated position. We'll pop this back into it is upright. Put its little thing back on here. Take the little wings, flip them back around. Put that back in here. And seat him back down. Now this is that seatbelt does work. So the way it is, you push it in and then you push it out to the slide slightly, and then it kind of locks him in place. If we can do that on screen. So it does lock him in place, and you just put his hands like that. You can probably push his hands out, but he does have that slider mode as well. So it is a really cool little vehicle. Again, unfortunately, I don't know the price point. I would assume it would have been originally the same price point as the Wicked Wheelie at the £7.95 or roughly £8 mark. And then you would have gotten, if it was on clearance, it probably would have dropped to about the same as the Wicked Wheelie did as well. So I'm going to leave that here for now. Hopefully you enjoyed having a look at these retro Ghostbusters. Well, I wouldn't call them retro, they're vintage. They might reissue some of these figures. They are starting to reissue some of the original team. I did pick up the reissues of the 4 Ghostbusters. They recently reissued the Fright Feature Ghostbusters, and they did a few of the ghosts like the Eyeball Ghost and the Green Ghost or Slimer and Stay Puft. They were all kind of reissued. So maybe somewhere down the line they might reissue the haunted vehicles. There is one that I really want to get, and I will do a review for it if I can pick it up, which is the, I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically a Volkswagen Beetle that transforms into a ghost, which is a really cool looking one as well. So if I can pick that up, I will do a review for that. But watch out for my YouTube channel, where I will be doing a review for Ecto 2 and Ecto 3 and some of the other ghosts that I picked up as well in that big lot of stuff. So there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed this quick trip down memory lane, if you're old enough to remember the original toy line, or if you just enjoy the vintage Ghostbuster toys in general. I hope you enjoyed this quick look at some of these guys. The ghosts themselves, when I was growing up, I was never a really huge fan of, because, well, not these transformation ghosts. I had a couple of them, but I wasn't a big fan of some of them because they were so limited in what they could do. But I kind of appreciate them more when you go into the transformation gimmick of them. So when I get some more, I will review those as well. So there you go, guys. Thanks for watching, and hopefully you stuck it out to the end for watching this video. And as always, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel and help grow my channel. Cheers, guys.